Mr. DJ Knight.
What up? What up? How you doing, fam?
What's going on, bro? Hey, dude. First off,
relaxing.
I am
a conversation.
I'm very appreciative of you being here today, man. Thank you for showing up on such short notice here. I am sorry about that lackluster organization on my end, bro. It's been
Life
crazy.
happens, my dude. You good?
It's been crazy. Look, I'm glad you're here. Bam. All right.
Will it work?
There you go.
But will it blend?
Okay. Yo, beautiful. All right, squad. So I'm trying to do a little better on the schedule here. So we have we got an hour. We got an hour starting now, bro. So there's a lot to cover here. I feel like me and you can easily make this like a 3-hour conversation if we really wanted to. Like not even trying right now. So first thing first here, for all the people here right now, man, talk to us. Introduce yourself, DJ Knight. Who are you? What do you do? Fill me in, bro, please.
All right, so
cool story, Bob.
What's happening? I'm DJ Knight. I'm a full-time space, sci-fi, and variety broadcaster here on Twitch. We play a lot of space-focused games. I'm also a show host, so I have hosted with if you ever heard of First Robotics. I am one of the hosts of First Robotics content. So like when they go to their championships and whatnot, I have hosted their events. They kind of when I started working with them in 2018, they sent me around to a lot of the teams that are literally building robots. Out of nothing. Like these kids are like machining parts. When I say kids, I'm talking about like high schoolers. And then they have programs down to like Lego League Junior, which is like where 5 and 6-year-olds create Lego dioramas. Like you remember old school, like you used to like get construction paper and like make a picture. They do that with Lego, and they have code involved with them. And I basically talked to a 7-year-old that explained to me how a sewage system works and showed me because their diorama had a little toilet. They put a brown marble in to kind of
symbolize
some poop, right?
Yeah.
But they flushed it and it actually went down through the drains. It actually showed where it switched out to where the water got cleaned. And it came out with a
7-year-old showed you all like a 7-year-old made a model of a sewage
Lego
system.
League Junior ends at like 9. So they're doing a lot of amazing things. So I'm a huge fan of STEM, science, all the joy. And when it comes to my background, I come up from a background of education. So after I got out of the military, I was in the Air Force. I went to a school called Full Sail University, graduated from there, taught web design, graphic design. So I also taught code, HTML, CSS, PHP, then action script as well, back when Flash was still a thing. Left Full Sail to go and work at EA Tiburons. I worked on Madden as an interface designer. Left there, worked in the web space for a while, then went back to Full Sail and taught in the game design degree. So from 2012 to 2016, I taught people how to make video games. Initially using Unreal Development Kit, and then using Unity after that.
Okay, wait. Pause. That's fine.
Okay.
Wait. Okay, so first off, wait, one. All right. Wait, you taught at Full Sail? Wait, you taught at Full Sail?
Yeah,
okay, you are actually okay. Like chat, no cap right now. I actually don't know DJ's life story, so I'm being blown away right now because I'm gonna slow down here. He's being way too humble. Like my man is like black excellence. Like he is the textbook definition, dude. I'm just a dude, man.
And
this is ridiculous, dude. Okay, so first off, for all those who are uninitiated here, can you mind explaining, like, because you threw out STEM as an acronym that obviously clearly I know what it means, but like you want to slow down and like what does that acronym stand for? When you throw that
stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And a lot of people also say STEAM. So they include the arts after the engineering part. So one of the cool things about First Robotics is that they have like ridiculous amounts of funds that they have for their students to get scholarships to go to engineering colleges. They're supporting the idea of engineers worldwide. So for me, it's an amazing experience to go and see high schoolers literally building robots. And when I say building robots, I'm not talking about like tiny little robots, right? Like the Lego League teams, the first Lego League teams will use Lego EV3 kits to traverse a 4-foot by 6-foot table of things that their robot has to do with no hands. So like a 12-year-old will build a robot that like they set it up, they line it up, they press a button, And then that robot will go out to something, do something, come back. And once it's back in their little zone of like maybe 2 square feet, they actually can move it and then send it on to do more stuff. So first Lego League is Beast. But after that, they go to the first tech challenge. First tech challenge is like robots that are about 18 inches by 18 inches square. So we're talking about like machining. We're talking about mechanism wheels. We're talking about going ham and actually building robots, coding these robots. And then you go to the top tier, which is the first, not the tech challenge, first robotics competition. Yeah, so it's the top tier, FRC. But what's cool about that one is that when they make robots that, like, depending on the objectives of the game, can go up to like 6-7 feet tall. And these are high schoolers doing this. They are leaving high school building robots, and this is like in their spare time. In their spare time after school, they're building robots, coding, doing amazing things. So like that's a lot about what I'm a fan of, because you give me some science and technology, some coding stuff, and I'm on board. So it's whatever involves STEM, I'm here for it. Like that's my background. And being from just outside Chicago, there wasn't a whole lot of that being pushed when I was in high school. So for me, it's kind of a big deal to work with an organization that when I started working with it, they're like, look, we realize that things aren't very diverse, and we want to make sure that people out there can see us and see diversity. So we would love to have somebody that is into STEM as a host. So I've been hosting with them since 2018. I would have been at the championships this year if it were not for coronavirus. But yeah, it's nice. And I agree with 2Man222. This is so cool that kids are getting into that now. When you start at a young age, like Lego age,
right,
and you get into STEM, then it teaches you so much logic. And at the core of code is logic. So if you can teach a kid logic visually, they understand the building blocks you need to understand to be able to go into code and kill it. So for me, it's all of it's lovely. I'm excited about every minute of it. You give me some STEM, I'm on board.
You're killing it. Okay, there's something I want to bring up here before we continue on, because you're going 1,000 miles an hour here, because you're not wrong. Like being introduced to code, logic, and machinery and how things actually work. It's embarrassing for me to admit, honestly, here, that I don't think I really computed that like things were built by people. They didn't just appear at the store. They were built by people. They were engineered to function until I was like 10 years old. Like there was never a stimulant for me to like get into like engineering feats until like I don't want to say long past curiosity stage, but just like, it's crazy because like you're telling me that like, kids were already building stuff at like maybe like age 7 or age 8. And I didn't, I just didn't even get that stimulant as far as like that STEM rabbit hole goes until like long past that point. I had curiosity, but I never really had that there. So that's really cool to see that much more normalized now. And I have seen like a lot of programs now for the youth where they're able to being taught code, like, sometimes as early as like a second grade, if not even. Now you got like, there's now toys that were like kids are like in pre-K learning the basic logistical foundation for code now, right? Which is
now
pretty crazy.
Cool about that is that Lego's actually working with First on that as well. I was lucky enough, when I say I work with First Robotics, my producer over there is a beast, and he actually was like, look, we're going to Denmark to the Lego headquarters. Do you want to go? And it's like, of course. You want me to announce the next year of first Lego work in the home, like from the house that Lego started in? Of course. So we were at the Lego house, and it was amazing. And I saw that Beasley, like a lot of people were wondering, like, man, is DJ going to say anything about what's going on in the world? And it's like, of course, I'm Black. There's no way that I'm not going to talk on it.
Absolutely.
And the cool part was, like, we started, and I was trying to figure out the right organization to support. So we went with the Minnesota Freedom Fund. I started a goal of $2,020 with really just as like a reason to say, look, it's 2020. Why are we even dealing with systemic racism in the way that we are right now? That's
Mexicans
that's
for
that shouldn't even be a thing
BLM.
that we talk
Down
about, right?
with the puercos.
I posted that, and I had an errand to run Monday. By the time I got back to my stream, they broke $1,000 of that.
Thanks for being a focal point for
20 minutes
positive
in, I had to
energy.
change it because they broke it there. So we ended with $10,000 raised for Minnesota Freedom Fund. Then I started also to support the Chicago Community Bond Fund, because Being from Cook County, how can I not support the people at home that are going out protesting to let people understand, like, look, Black Lives Matter. And I love the fact that you and Sparks were going into a point of, yes, all lives matter. Obviously, all lives matter. But somebody pointed it out to me last weekend, and they used, Walto Nothing with a Hondo. I saw that. You smooth. I'm trying to pay attention to the stream as well. Yeah, please.
No. It's cool. It's cool. Like,
go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, like the whole thing is like, I want it to be incredibly inviting, and it's like, I want everyone to listen. That's the whole thing here. Yeah. So there's a whole lot of barking back and forth, and not enough listening.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing here, right? Like, because had they been listening in 2016, 2017, I think we would be a lot better off now than where we are now, which we're at the breaking point, because it's like everything is crumbling right now. There's no safety checks, no infrastructure. And just the acknowledgement of how bad things currently are for Black people and everything in between here. So I just want to listen. So no, you run the show, man. You talk to me right now. What you got? What's on your mind here?
For me, it's more that I saw the analogy of a house that's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
If your neighbor's house is on fire and you see the fire trucks pull up to put the to fire out, you're not going to walk up and say,
excuse me, but what about my house? My house needs help.
It's like, bro, this house is on fire. Shut up. We understand that you want to keep your house. Your house is nice, but like, our house is on fire. It's on fire. Like, I'm afraid to get pulled over because, just like y'all were talking about, if I get pulled over, hands on the 10 and 2, I'm not moving because of the possibilities of dying in that. But if that's what you have, is like all lives matter. It's like, obviously all lives matter, but shit, man, like, it takes, how many Black bodies do we need to see before people care? And I love the fact that every one of the 50 states has got protests going on right now. We've got like something like 20 other countries in the world also having protests to support Black Lives Matter, because it's like, yes, Black Lives Matter. And I feel like the underlying issue of this is police not having proper de-escalation training, and also police is getting brutal. And I feel like I'm so glad that I posted a tweet over this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And that tweet was two other people's chains of tweets where they were saying like, yo, these protests, when people think people are rioting out here, it's not us that are rioting. And they had video proof. It wasn't us. And like, that's a whole nother series of conversations that could happen after that. But so many people are going to these protests, starting fires, setting things ablaze, and then disappearing, and then just leaving it for us to deal with. And it's like the concept of somebody saying like, oh, because you were in here, because you were in this protest, like, oh, all of these protests are trash because if you wouldn't be at these protests tearing stuff up, if you wouldn't be wrecking things for small business owners. And it's like, fam, it's not about small business owners, because yes, small business owners are affected, but at least back that weekend, most of the people who were doing the rioting weren't the people who were standing up for Black Lives Matter in the first place. But also, when you get to the grander scheme of that, right? Somebody mad at a small group of protesters tearing shit up. If that small group of protesters tearing shit up is that much of a problem to make you say, oh man, those protests are trash, they shouldn't even be there, they're all animals, then how do you think we feel about the police?
Very valid point. Absolutely.
There's a small group of police that are out here killing Black people, but does that change the fact that everybody I know that's Black is afraid to get pulled over because then they're trying to die?
Yeah, no.
I'm not trying to get pulled over for not using a turn signal because I have wide shoulders, fam. I'm not trying to. Like, I'm not trying to.
You got me feeling small right now.
Man, get out of here! You out here, big swole. And cut. Like, I need to lose some weight.
Are you kidding me? Hang on,
what you talking about?
Stop.
Dude, no. We got a picture together where we both was in there flexing. I know you swole. You can't. Bro, right, and my fists are also behind those biceps. So like, obviously, I feel like we're in that movie right now. I haven't even seen the movie. It's like, nah, brother, you smell amazing. What is that you're wearing right now? It's great. Like,
yeah, it's like we're both like an Old Spice commercial right now. You know, just like, ain't no cap though, bro. TwitchCon 2022, whenever the Rona's done and we can actually like travel again and do stuff, bro. Me and you, gym stream, like true facts, like dude, like
I'm down.
You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, that'd be sick.
I need to live in the gym just to get there. And yes, it was Sorry to Bother You. I need to see Sorry to Bother You. I still haven't seen it yet. But now like it's amazing to me how many people can take a truth and warp it to exactly what they want it to be and then live with that and then not consider the idea that maybe you're a little wrong. Maybe you're not fully factual. Well, the thing that you think, and they're not willing to take a second, like, okay, time out. Let me reflect on this. Am I correct? Am I incorrect?
Can I real
and
quick
if they don't do it, say what?
Can I real quick here? There's a massive interjection I want to make about that. So I've seen a lot of behavior reinforcing this idea that like if you change your point, even when there's new information presented to you, it's weak. You're weak. Oh, you didn't like it's considered a beta move to do anything other than double down on your initial point. No matter what happens here. Like it's I don't know when that became normalized now. It's not even just like a BLM thing. It's like a logic 101 thing. Like if there's new information presented, no, like forget that. It's I'm always right. And I'm going to like you're saying earlier, I'm going to do whatever I can for confirmation bias to make sure that I can figure out a way to like use any kind of plausibility. Well, what were they doing before the video recorded for that police beating to be like, you know, maybe it deserves that, I don't know here. Well, I mean, y'all got a lot of black on black violence. Well, I mean, y'all, the crime is all on y'all, isn't here. Well, those problem areas where the ghettos are, and it's like, they just look
that's whataboutism is what they call that. Like, what about this other group? Or what about this thing? Or what about this thing? It's like, that's actually not the topic of conversation. You're trying to confuse the argument to diffuse the concept of us having something of a conversation that might make you consider how wrong you are at the moment. I love it when people do it, but I hate it when people do it because they think that I'm not intelligent enough to catch them on that bull. So it's like, come on, son, what's wrong with you? You know better. You know better. Like people know it's not about all lives matter. But actually, I'm going to post in the Discord for you to see. I don't know if I can post links in the chat. I saw an image from Scarecrow Bar. If someone says save the rainforest, you don't actually say save all the rainforest, do you? And they're like, nah. But then they explain it and they say just because we need to save the rainforest doesn't mean that other forests don't have value. It's just that that's the one that needs our focus. And they say, I guess I never really thought of that way before, but the next panel is the one that gets me. But if I change my mind now, doesn't that make me a hypocrite? And that's exactly what you just said. Like some people are afraid to touch the concept that they may be incorrect. And it's like, nah, it just means you're growing as a person. So he put a sign, Black Lives Matter back up. And the dude who originally hated it put a sign up too. Yeah. To me, that is growth. That is what I feel like a lot of the country and the world are experiencing right now. And a lot of people are or have been afraid to have the conversation because it causes them to look at themselves and figure out if they're living right, if they're acting right, if their behaviors are fair, if their words are unbiased, or have they been biased by people that raised you? Because realistically, racism is taught and it's not a thing that is there by default. So many people say, oh, but what about the black on black crime? It's like, this pandemic is an exact example of the situations that have been created in the black community to cause poverty. Think about it. We're in a global pandemic right now. The world is at a loss of how this could get to the extent that it has, at least in this country, because we are already over 100,000 people dead in the United States alone. In the country where everybody's saying like,
yeah, but I don't think I need to wear a mask outside, right?
It's like, obviously you need to wear a mask. It's not just for you. It's for all of us. You wear a mask to protect other people if you're sick. If somebody that's sick is wearing a mask and you also have a mask on, the virus transmission rate is minimal in comparison. So for me, it's like the whole concept of somebody saying like, oh, I don't believe in wearing a mask. But back to my original point, we are in a global pandemic. Other countries are providing for their citizens. Like somebody from the UK came into my chat and said, no, we're getting like 80% of what our salaries are. So we're good. But we get $1,200 to last us. How many weeks? I can't remember how many weeks it was.
Well, the official Mitch McConnell statement was 10 weeks.
Okay,
that should be, y'all should be good until the economy reopens, I think by August, which was like 10 weeks, which is like
have $1,200. Like we'll suspend the idea of you being evicted, but we won't suspend the debt that you're incurring with your landlord. So once we get everything up and running again, think about how many people are going to immediately go into bankruptcy, getting evicted from their homes, not having a home. And they're just now getting back to the point. And let's not talk about the people who lost all their jobs because they were not an essential business. So this is the kind of situation that creates poverty. When you get people that are poor and broke,
and they have no resource,
happen. There's no resources to get assistance. There's no way to get more money to make sure that you can pay your rent. There's no way to like you can't go out and like be an Uber driver. And if you do, and you're not wearing a mask, you can get like negative stars. So like there's so much that needs to happen. And I'm still blown away that we're even opening states because I can't go to the store and get Lysol and
but you gotta be a patriot. You gotta be a patriot and stimulate the American economy.
I served in the U.S. military for 4 years as security forces and was trained to de-escalation. I guarantee you, people are wearing masks because they're caring about others. They're trying to make sure that they stay safe and other people stay safe. So the whole concept of gotta be a patriot. Like if you were a patriot, you would do your best to save other American lives. And if wearing a mask is helpful,
hang on now. Wait, I woke up in a free country. What? You can't tell me to wear no mask. You're impeding on my freedoms.
Yep. And people who say that you're impeding on my freedoms for wearing a mask are ignoring the fact that the Black communities are the ones hit hardest by coronavirus. They don't care because they're not them.
And it's hit me because it's a shocking lack of empathy and sympathy. It's
ridiculously so.
Like, and it's like, okay, well, if at that point you didn't care, when were you gonna care? Like you only cared when it hits you? When it hits you? Like when it hits like it's like, does it have to hit a loved one you know personally for it to finally stick? Or like I don't know.
I feel like that's literally the thing though, that is getting people to understand. People don't look at it as it's the thing that I need to care about, but they will look at it as, oh, my grandma just died. She was fine. And then I had gone to those couple parties and I went to say hi to my grandma, and then she died from things that could look like it could be coronavirus. Until people lose friends and family, they don't care. Like that's why people continue to say like, oh, racism doesn't exist in this country. We're in a post-racism society. We elected Obama. It's like, yeah, you could think that we're in a post-racist society, but that doesn't change the fact that people are experiencing racism every day. Hell, just since the start of the pandemic, the reason that people are going so ham is because Ahmaud Arbery was killed while jogging.
Yep.
Breonna Taylor was killed in her house while she was asleep on a no-knock raid when they had the dude in custody that they were going to do the no-knock raid for. George Floyd was killed by police that kicked all this off just last week, knees on the neck, and people were more outraged about Colin Kaepernick's knee than they were about this police officer's knee who murdered George Floyd. And let's not get into the people that have died since the protests have started. So we got David McAtee, who died because he was beating protesters like 20 blocks away from the protests. They killed him and left his body in the street for 12 hours before anybody actually saw him. So, but we're in a post-racism society, though.
Well, I didn't see it, so I mean, I don't know. Like, it could have been actors or whatever. It doesn't end, and you're right. And it's disgusting. It's filthy, and it's shocking, honestly, because
it's mind-boggling to me.
I don't know.
It's mind-boggling to me.
They want to escape into their rabbit hole and think this is not reality, but I don't know what to tell them. Step outside. Come check it out. It's insane.
And I think what is amazing to me though is that so many people in the gaming community, so many people in these communities, like this community right now, $20,798 raised, and you can start this today, right?
Yesterday. Oh, actually, it was supposed to start today, but yes, it popped off yesterday.
Yeah.
They couldn't wait. They wanted to get it out early.
But that's what I'm talking about, right? Like, just because people don't know that racism exists doesn't mean that people aren't supportive and trying their best to make sure that the people that experience it don't have to. I feel like the major thing that we need in this country is really a systemic change from police getting all of the military toys. Police don't need military weapons at all and ever.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't need military toys ever. But that's not going to stop them from getting them. And so many people are, I think, beginning to understand, because people of all colors are getting wrecked at these riots. 75-year-old man got shoved down by the police, bust open the back of his head.
Yep.
He wasn't black, but, and from the other angle, somebody had an other angle of him going to the police. Looked like he had found a riot helmet.
Yeah, he was handing them the helmet from what it looked like.
He was trying to return to them their helmet. And this asshole cop knocked him down, bust his head open, and then the rest of the cops just walked past. And then those cops.
Oh yeah, no, they only stopped because one noted that he was bleeding. They were ready to move on, let him just sit there. They didn't give a shit at all.
And then there was a possibility that those cops then left that team in solidarity, but like they're still employed. So like, it's not just that Black Lives Matter, it's that Black Lives Matter in this system.
Drop the number.
This system is against the 50 something people.
57.
57. See, you got it on top of it. You beat me to it, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I didn't want to believe it. I'm like, is this real? I had to double check the headline. I was like, wait, really? This really happened?
You gotta be joking. Like, you gotta be joking. What world is this? We're in the wrong timeline right now. I feel like any minute we're just gonna hear some dude pop in and just like, this is the Twilight Zone. It's like somebody's gonna come in and just be like, oh, knocked down and people care about it. But ignore that black man over there. Situations like this let us realize that we're in the Twilight Zone.
Oh my god, dude, you're killing it, dude. You're killing it.
They didn't resign. They resigned from the team that they were on. That, like, they still are employed. They left the team that they were on. So no, I'm still blown away that we even still have to have this conversation. It's been like close to 60 years since the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
And we're still having conversations about.
Which, can we bring, by the way, that happened because of riots? Like that didn't happen that didn't happen peacefully. It's not like the riots were ineffective. It's not like the riots were ineffective. Like, it wasn't like it was just, all right, y'all, we're no, constitutionally this is not correct. Actually, we're going ahead and just go, okay, here you go, civil rights. No, that took protest. And then that took riots to escalate the protests because the protests were still being ignored.
This country was started on riots. This country was started from the destruction and pillaging of a native indigenous people, and by the import of another, so that they can sit back and be lazy while simultaneously avoiding, I think it was England. They're like, no, we're out of here. You charging too much in taxes. We're out this piece. We're going to wreck all your tea. Yeah, tea and crumpets can eat a bag of. Like, they just didn't care. Didn't care at all. And it's like, but don't riot now, though. Like, don't riot here. Like, don't riot in our country. Like, this is not the way.
Yeah, it's not how it's supposed to work. It's not what Americans do.
No, Americans don't riot. Like, man, America is like the premier riot country. But premier riot country.
But what about those stay-home protesters, though? What about the armed protesters in the Michigan Capitol building?
I can't really say much. Oh, look, we ain't even talking about the people that went to the Capitol building.
Oh, dude,
we're not having that conversation. We're not, because I'm still living that a militia of people went to a government building with weapons,
which I believe is illegal in most states, by the way. I'm not sure in Michigan specifically, but my
dude, tens of people showed up at the State House like,
hey, I don't know what you're going on and doing in there, but we want to go out and get our haircuts. Give me a haircut right now. Somebody's going to cut my hair. Look at it. I got edges. It's nonsense. I need a haircut immediately. And then you aren't going to impinge on my freedoms and my abilities to go get a haircut right now. You're going to let me get a haircut, or, we're going to come on here with these guns. What you going to do about it when we got the guns?
That is absolute trash, because the idea of me going to any government building with a weapon with a concealed carry permit, I have one. I'm probably gonna get one. But if I had a concealed carry permit and I tried to go into a state house, I'm dead.
You're dead. Oh my god.
Dead. No question.
Wouldn't even try. It's wild. 100%. Oh, wait, one of them had
and then all the cops will look at each other like, this is the way. Well done. Like this is trash. I'm livid about this whole concept.
Yeah.
The whole concept of it.
By the way, one of them had a rocket launcher. It was an antique rocket launcher.
No, that rocket launcher was not even an actual rocket launcher. And then the dude had the 50 cal over his shoulder. That was a wooden 50 cal. I feel like they are paying people to go out and do stupid things. Like, I'm trying my best not to curse. They're out there trying to make them do all the kinds of stupid things. They're literally LARPers. Like Snowy A says, like they're LARPing as like militia members. They're going out in public and they're doing things that the people who believe that the coronavirus isn't a big deal, that it doesn't matter, we don't care. They're going to go out. They're cosplaying like they're actually ready to do something when they ain't ready to do nothing. Real police would glance at them like, bro, nah, what y'all doing? Like,
oh, wait. Can I hear before I forget? Because you go off and I love it. I'm clapping in my head and I forget what I was going to say after, because I'm like, it's so many things at one time here. I hate, by the way, that the Michigan protesters were given all that attention, and like there was such a problematic lack of coverage on the amount of workers who were protesting at the same time here, because they're the essential workers have been getting screwed over. Let's be real here. Like, the fact that you're considered essential, but you're not given like a federal mandated hazard pay is completely insulting. And like, you're not at that point, you're telling me I'm essential and you need me, but you're not going to provide me with the PPEs or the appropriate pay to compensate for the risk I'm having right now by being out here in case I do succumb to coronavirus or whatever, or because I deserve it anyway at this point here. It's insulting. So you call me essential, but call it what it really is. I'm a sacrificial worker. And it's disgusting that those protests that have happened, and there's been tens of them, and strikes and whatnot, were not covered appropriately as far as the MSMs were concerned here. Garbage.
Okay, so I love it. Give me one sec to respond to that. Fair. Like, it's trash that people who are literally the reason that our economy can still function right now aren't getting more money. Your mama Goofy asked, "Can I ask why you served if you don't like our country?"
Oh,
right.
Would you like to?
Like, I never said that I didn't like our country. But what I can comfortably say is the fact that I am afraid to get pulled over or a traffic stop because I might die is kind of trash. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, what were you doing?
I am an educated, intelligent, just so happen to have a sizable shoulders black man. I served this country because, one, I wanted some money for college because I was trying to go to school. Two, I still believe in the First Amendment. I still believe in our right to actually come out and have conversations. I believe in our right to peacefully protest. I served this country because of my belief that it should be every American's right to go out. And if you want to have a peaceful conversation, go out, do so, continue to do so. And there's nothing anybody should be able to do to you for or about it, because you're a citizen of this country. You aren't harming anybody. You're having a conversation. You're doing your part to let the people who are elected officials know that what you're doing is trash, and I don't appreciate it. Not every country has the ability to do that. And also, I was kind of born here. I didn't have an option to be born here. I didn't have an option to be grown up in Chicago. I was in Chicago when I was born and raised. Like that has nothing to do with me. You know what else I don't have any control over? Being black. I was born black. Love it. I'm kind of a fan, right? Like I have a natural tan. It's kind of glorious. Like people work hard to get tans. So like, I feel like mine is nice. It's fancy. But no, I feel like I was raised here. I was born and raised here. And I would much rather fight to make it better than just leave. So feel free to ask another question that you think I may not have the answer to. Don't get it twisted.
Bro, let me just take a second. Get it, bro. Get it. All right. So let me, if I may, because we've been kind of, it's been a pretty abstract thing. And I still think I forgot at least 3 things I wanted to follow up with because you've just been killing it. You have been, bro, I want you to know, DJ Knight, real talk, homie right now. On the radar, not even, it's off the radar, but it's on the radar here. I'm your biggest fan. I'm your biggest fan, dude. You are killing it right now, bro.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here again. So
happy to be here, man.
So given that you've been in the armed forces and whatnot, I have to ask you, if you don't mind, I actually want to pivot to a specific topic here because
go for it.
Give me what's your take on specifically here whenever President Trump made that declaration in his address several days ago about utilizing the Insurrection Act of 1807 to be able to deploy the military on American streets. I figure maybe you have some additional insight.
I am full offended by the concept of military troops being placed on American soil over this cause. The military's oath is to defend America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And if the concept of me not wanting to worry about losing my life over what somebody who worked a register decided was a fake $10 bill, I shouldn't worry about losing my life over that. So as a military veteran, why the hell is the military being sent in when that's what people are against? Yes, Black Lives Matter. We always preach Black Lives Matter, but everybody is affected by police brutality. We've seen it over this past week that people in these protests that are not people of color can get it just like anybody else. Anybody can get it if these police are allowed to continue wrecking things the way that they do. So many people like, oh, you should have done what the police said. You should have just sat down. Like, I literally just saw a video not an hour ago. Sparks was in here talking about a black man being held down by 2 police. One of the police officers had him in the meanest chokehold I've ever seen and kept saying, stop resisting. Man's had no ability to resist. No ability to resist. But that's how people are being treated in this country. And it took for a pandemic where people can't really leave the house, for Breonna Taylor, for Ahmaud Arbery, for George Floyd, for David McAtee. And let's not count the other black man who was killed by police, shot 19 times. There's another gentleman that was shot out in Tallahassee that he got shot last Tuesday. So it takes people to see the things that we've been dealing with and the things that we've been worried about our entire lives. If people don't see it, they don't believe it. But now people have proof. I posted the tweet in your DMs, and I'll post the tweet in the chat. There is
hit me.
It's in your DMs on Discord. I posted that in there. I'm gonna pop it in the chat as well because it's crucial. Like, there are multiple threads of people that are at these protests that are not of color, but they don't feel the fear of police like somebody who's lived through it, who's seen how people are treated. But people seeing that those people wilding out, tearing things up, that aren't a part of the movement. People aren't ready for that. People aren't ready for the conversation that, it might not be the people who are at these protests that are wrecking things. And then multiple officials came out and said that, there are other groups in here going to these protests and tearing things up. So people are blaming us for all these riots, but it ain't all us. And then also we go into a thing that I was trying to hint at earlier, and I kind of lost track because I was going a little ham about it. But we have a perfect set stage right now for people who have no money, people who got $1,200 and was supposed to last them 10 weeks. $1,200 doesn't last a month. $1,200 isn't a lot of people's rent or mortgage payment. $1,200 ain't gonna cover food for 10 weeks. But let's not get into that, right? We are living in a time where there's a global pandemic going on where you shouldn't be outside at all possibility. But people are outside risking their lives, risking their health because of something else that is so much more important. Of course, it's important that we have these conversations. Of course, people go out into the streets and they're going to riot. But with people that are out there hungry, fighting to be heard, fighting to not be killed, and you add not having any money on top of that, it is literally grounds for things to start getting wrecked. And it's literally grounds for a lot of other weird things to happen. But I also feel like it's 2 weeks from now. Actually, no, the protests have been going on for a week. A week from now, we're going to start seeing rises in coronavirus deaths.
Right.
Or coronavirus cases.
Right.
The black community was the black and brown. Let me not just say that. The black and brown community of people, a lot of essential workers, the people who don't have the ability to afford healthcare, were already the hardest hit by the coronavirus. And now so many of us are out in the streets trying to just tell the world, look, we kind of want to continue to live. And the people that are our allies in this, that aren't black people, are also out there in the streets like, look, I would kind of like my buddy and everybody that looks like them to live. We're going to see upticks in coronavirus deaths. It's like that old phrase, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it.
Doomed to repeat it, yep.
And Spanish flu, if we go back to the like the early 1900s, I believe it was 1917 when the Spanish flu happened, that winter was the worst. They thought they had it hard, and then summer came down, like things got easy, and then winter happened, and it multiplied. I feel like we are in that time frame. Like everybody wants to rush to reopen the states. Who's going to be the first people to be out in stores at the registers? Who's going to be the first people to be in hospitals looking after people? Essential workers. Guess who makes up a good percentage of essential workers? People of color. You're putting people, just like you said, your phrasing was a perfect phrasing, sacrificial.
Yeah.
How could you not feel like this is a sacrificial situation? How can you feel like they're not trying to sacrifice us when how many black people have died with the term "I can't breathe"?
More than one, at least two I can think of right now, but a lot.
And people are upset that we're making a big deal out of this, and people are worried. They're like, "Oh, coronavirus is not a big deal," and they're just sitting back at home chilling. So lives are being lost in all kinds of ways. It just gets wilder every day, and people are wondering why we care. Man, I'm trying to live.
So there's a couple points here I wanted to get into, which was one you were bringing up earlier, getting coronavirus under control. And yeah, it's so hard to project here, like how things get better if we're opening new economies right now, because like you're only as strong as your weakest link. The virus can spread, and you're only as strong as like the most probable area where spread can occur, right? You're not able to properly quarantine people, you're not able to properly treat people. You don't have abundant, affordable, accessible testing. So you don't know who has what until it's already happened. And by that point, it's already too late, until we get to a point where you throttle your medical infrastructure, at which point then you're looking at a Italy 2.0. Except I can't even call it that, because it's insulting to them, because USA has done a way worse job in every metric at this point. So it's like I don't even want to use them as that metric, because we're number one at being the worst at it. It's pathetic, right? And the thing
Ridiculously
here is,
so.
it's like when you think about what can be done. I don't see evidence right now of like when things get better, because the entire time there was never a unified front on a standard for these very basic things. And we had evidence, and we had like evidence of the countries that did it well, and it was just ignored. It's comical, honestly. And the thing I want to get back here to, I'm sorry, I'm kind of pivoting into Corona a little bit here, but like the whole thing here is like, what about the homeless? Like you hear about, all these people right now, like, we got testing sites and we're doing the most testing, and they completely, game the numbers here because they're not bringing up per capita on the testing altogether here when you bring up most testing in the world, Trump, by the way. But what about the homeless? Like you're at a point now where you have the actual, like, you need Medicare for all. You need you need like a standard health care. You need to, like, we have a ceiling and a floor right now, and the floor is really, really low. You got to bring that floor up. You got to have a unified standard here, because what does it matter if you have it under control if the homeless population can't get tested? You don't know. There's going to die out in the streets here, and it can spread eventually to someone else at some point here. Like you got to bring it up here. Like you got to have everyone in your interest now for some unified standard minimum of care. And until then, it doesn't fucking matter, dude.
Yep.
So, and if y'all don't believe me here, dude, go to LA, go to Los Angeles, go down to Skid Row. I've been there once. I wouldn't want to go there again. It's depressing, honestly, to see how many people try to get into that homeless shelter down by there, and how many just like make camp. It's saddening. Same thing in San Francisco. It's saddening, and what's being done about it. So, and then now with coronavirus, like even then it's still terrible. So yeah, when will things get better? I don't know in that regard here. I don't see the evidence here right now. And the one thing you don't want to do, Trump, is reopen churches. The one thing you don't want to do is hyper accelerate the economy. You want to look into building an infrastructure where people can properly isolate and stay safe and get things under control until you can get a more informed view of how people currently are infected or not. But these are all radical ideas here that just like are not really there at this point. So what do I know? I'm just a guy on a stream.
I mean, we kind of know because we're the people that are basically boots on the ground in the grander scheme of this. We're more affected by the concept of police brutality because so many people would rather ignore it.
Yeah.
So we already have that against us. Then you add in the fact that we have someone in office who would tear gas peaceful protesters to walk across the street, take a picture in front of a church that had no permission to take a picture in front of that church, but like holding a Bible, just to hold a picture of a Bible
upside down
in front of a church.
Upside down.
I was trying to not go that so hard, but like. I was trying hard. I'm just trying to be as like on the surface as possible about it. But like, think about this. I never thought in my life that the leader of this country would tear gas American citizens, would threaten to push military members onto the streets because of peaceful protests. How are you tear gassing your own citizens that are literally being peaceful? I saw a video of people that were in DC right before sundown. Sundown is supposed to be their curfew. They were laying in the streets, just chanting, "I can't breathe." There's no way that's only Black people. It's impossible. But that's the joy of it, right? Now that we've seen through these protests that anybody can get it as far as these police are concerned, because they are on a power trip. They're supposed to be protecting and serving. That has always been the thing that I expected of police, would be protect and serve. And realistically, we pay their salaries with our tax dollars. So the right move is the one we're making. At least one of the right moves is the one we're making by going to our elected officials and letting them know that we're not going to keep it. We're not going to accept it. We don't want it. Simply because I'm not paying you to hold me down. And yes, tear gas is illegal in wartime. Some people have been protesting peacefully. Others are rioting. Yeah.
But what about the rioters?
Posted a tweet in the chat earlier. People who are starting the wreckage are not necessarily the people who are there for Black Lives Matter. There are people who are dressed in all black going to these peaceful protests, wrecking things. There are videos of protesters finding, like I saw a video the other day, dude with a hammer knocking at the ground to pick up concrete to throw at the police. Black Lives Matter protesters tackled him, took him to the police. He's out here wrecking. The police pushed the protesters back in. The dude who was breaking up concrete got arrested. So I've also seen videos of people trying to wreck a Target. Protesters like, no, we keeping this peaceful. We not here for that noise. We not here for that. We here for the peaceful protests, stopping people from going into businesses and wrecking them. So if your concept of this conversation is, oh, but what about the people that are out there rioting? That's whataboutism. We're not here for your whataboutism. We recognize that you're trying to change the narrative of the conversation. But if we're going to use whataboutism, what about how black people feel toward the police? What about people who are more liable to get wrecked by the police? Black people, people of color, LGBTQ members who that police officer may not particularly like, right? Like, what about those people that are experiencing the negativity from police? We already know that as black people, we generally don't want to deal with the police, right? Like, keep me away from that. But we also, if we're talking about the rioters, if your response to this is some people aren't protesting, some people are rioting. Yes, we obviously should care about the rioters because you shouldn't be tearing shit up. But many people have gone down in history and said, if you remove people's right to peacefully protest, the only option is violence. But ignoring that, think about what you're doing right now. You are trying to equate massive peaceful protests across all 50 states to a very small handful of people who are out there trying to riot and tear shit up. If your concept of those handful of people makes you change your opinion of the Black Lives Matter movement or the peaceful protests in and of themselves, what does that say about how we view the people who are more likely to receive police brutality, about how we view the police? If you want to use whataboutism, what about how I'm worried to go and get pulled over because police might just fucking kill me? So I answer your but whataboutism for your what about. Don't try to change the subject. Don't try to say that, oh, they're out there rioting. They're not. Everybody isn't rioting. All cops aren't bastards. A lot of people may hate me for saying that, but I know that all cops aren't bastards. But we can also use another option of, if there are 1,000 members on a police force and there are 10 bad policemen on a police force, and those 1,000 cops did nothing to stop those 10 from brutally maiming, murdering, beating people down, then I'm guessing there's 1,010 cops on the force that are horrible cops. We have to treat it that way, because if we don't, we might die. Target came out, the main target that was the first target to have been looted.
Right.
Ignore the fact that there were people who are not black people who were finding things in the store, who were just like gathering a couple of things, a couple options. But even Target CEO came out like within a day or two, was like, hey, look, we understand that this is trash. Yes, Black Lives Matter. We're actually going to double down in our funding in that community. We're going to make sure that everybody who works at that store gets the next few weeks or gets the foreseeable future. Their paychecks are taken care of. They don't have to work. And we're also going to rebuild that store. And we're going to keep reinvesting into that community. The Target CEO can come out and say that. Who are you to complain about people rioting? And yes, I know small business owners are going to take an L on this because some small business owners don't have the money to re-up. But again, we just showed you multiple situations. There's two different, I just posted in the chat for you. There's two different threads of people posting throughout these events that the people who are protesting, not all the people who are rioting are the people who are a part of these protests in the first place. They come in, they wreck something, and they disappear like nothing happened because they know that we're going to take the brunt of the nonsense. So we could talk about all day. We could talk about this all day. I do my best to stay well researched when it comes to a topic so that I don't want to open my mouth. If not, because I hate the idea of opening my mouth and being proven a lie. But you know what I'm not afraid of? Somebody correcting me and saying, actually, DJ, this is how that works. And if it's the case, then cool. Thank you for enlightening me. And that gives me a better ability to go and tell somebody else how it works. So you could try to be mad. You could try to take away from the subject at hand. But the subject at hand is twofold. Thank you very much. Black Lives Matter. Police brutality is bullshit. If you want to sit there and just let police wreck your face, go for it. But I'm gonna go back to an old phrase. And I apologize for the wording in it because it's crucial. You want me to pause for a minute?
No. I'm saying, no, go for it. No, go for it,
okay.
Please.
People may remember this from the Holocaust. They came for the communists, but I said nothing because I wasn't a communist. They came for the socialists. And I said nothing because I'm not a socialist. They came for the Jewish people. I said nothing because I was not Jewish. When they came for us, there was no one left. So if you want to sit back and let cops kill us, cool. You think that is a great option temporarily. So many people have seen so many Black people dying on social media. I've been seeing it since I was a child. The only people that you see die on social media or on the news, the only deaths that you see are people that are people of color. That was the reason that I was starting to get into this in the first place when it comes to George Floyd. Tired of seeing Black bodies murdered. But don't nobody care about us, right? We are 13% of the population of the United States. 13%. Think about that. 1 in 10, slightly more than 1 in 10 people in this country is Black. Why is it that since the start of this pandemic in March,
it's a bad
we've
number.
lost no less than 6 people. No less. And it took George Floyd to strike the match. Like if we go back further, Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Tamir Rice. The fact that I know names of people who have been brutalized by the police is a problem. I shouldn't be able to list off names of people who are dead now because police power has gone unchecked. And I feel like I'm speaking from an understanding more so than many people because as Air Force security forces, I was taught regularly. We had to go regularly in for training for force de-escalation. If somebody's life is not at stake, you shouldn't have your weapon out at all. If I were to have been in a situation at the PX and somebody came out stealing a TV and they were running away, 1, there's no danger. They're running away. You can get in the car and catch them. 2, let me have pulled my weapon out and aimed. 1, pulling the weapon out would already have gotten your weapon removed. Oh no, give me that gun. When you come back, you get to sit it down. 2, if I had fired on that person, you going to jail, bro. You going to military jail immediately. There was not enough in that situation for you to take your gun out at all. At all. If life is not on the line, you should not be pulling out your weapon. You should not. You should not. You should not. You go to pull somebody on a traffic stop, you should not pull out your weapon. You can put your hand on the holster by all means. That makes sense. You see some movement. All right, cool. Your man's might have a gun. I might need to defend myself, but don't have it out first. Just because I have a fantastic tan that I had no control over. I mean, to be fair, I'm a fan of my even tan. It's glorious. But just because I have a tan, you're worried about me? I can't walk through the store without people clutching their pearls or pulling their purse close to them. I can't get into a traffic stop without worrying that I might lose my life. I can go through a store without guaranteeing that police are going to follow me around on the camera. Whoever the security guard is going to follow around on the camera. And you want to tell me, nah, man, all lives matter. Eat a bag of rhinoceros dicks, if you'll excuse my French.
Oh, man, preach it. Wow. Deejay Knight, you are a beast, man. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Man, okay, and again, I let you shine, and I apologize again. Hopefully, I'm doing a good job being a host here because you're
good.
Because it was like,
yes, rhino dick. Somebody asked rhinos. I said yes, rhinos.
Yeah, rhinoceros. Yeah. I wanted to follow, but I'm like, man, I'm letting him keep going, dude, because I'm eating it up right now. You were preaching, dude. You were preaching. There was another thing I wanted to particularly talk on, but before we have to like kind of like decelerate here and bring it to a closing point, and that was are you familiar? It's totally fine if you don't know. Are you familiar with the these pseudo vigilante enforcers that were out in DC that had no badges and no identification gear on, and they were like out several blocks? This was like there was a squad of police officers or random people, we don't know, who had on like riot gear but didn't have visible badges or identification on, and they were several blocks from the White House. And it's before the White House had put up the hashtag Babygate, where they had like the nice like 12-foot fence up, that way no one can like go anywhere near the White House property. Are you familiar with this here?
No, but I do know that they were trying to hire a private security force to come in and like be backup, that they don't have badges that are.
Yeah, I wish I had the tweet in hand right now. It was pretty wild, because I was like, I don't think you can do this here. Like who is this right now? Like, this is some private backyard enforcement.
Private security. It's a private security company. Like, that may not be the people that I'm talking about, but there are private security companies where they don't have badges that are visible to the public, and that's what's happening right now. And that's actually got me more afraid when you consider the fact that our president has already talked about the idea of bringing in martial law to stop people from peacefully protesting, because you have a private security that doesn't answer to anybody,
right?
Isn't paid by taxpayer dollars. They'll do whatever the hell they want to do. And if you're talking about bringing in martial law, like, you bringing martial law in for peaceful protests over a little bit of property, fam? Nah. So we could even go even further. And I feel like I try my best to not go too ham into politics on stream, but I feel like this stream is probably the best one to go for it. And since this last week, I've done more speaking out about politics than I have almost the entire time I've streamed. But I feel like this president is doing his best to pull a couple of D's. And when I say I pull a couple of D's, I know I say it to where people might say, couple of D's, DJ, what are you talking about? Excuse me? What are you talking about? But the idea there is we're being divided. We are being fully divided, because from the minute this dude came out, he basically split America into red and blue. So out the gate, we're already divided. We're getting distracted. Think about all of the protests that are happening right now. The world is experiencing protests right now. And let's not forget that last week, Flynn came out of the White House, and they came to find out that he actually was talking to Russia and talking about a quid pro quo kind of situation. So that got drowned out. So we're being distracted from it. Then we also have, hell, when it came up in the first place that he was a presidential candidate, I don't care, I'll just grab him by the... How is it that you can even be eligible for the office if something like that comes out? How?
It's just locker room talk,
right? Whatever. But
right.
like, on the court of character, you should have a certain level of character where there's no way you should even, like, there's no way he should even got to the point. But he's also destroying. He is destroying the America that we know and love. And yeah, I know I've been harping on America for a good long while, but that's because I like the idea of living up to what one of the phrases that I got in the Air Force: leave it better than it was when you got here. So he's destroying the things that we expect. Think about it. He's talking about putting military martial law into place in areas where, like, he's already talking about doing it regardless of whether or not the governors agree. That is absolute trash.
Yeah. Where are the checks and balances? Like,
right. So, like, if there were checks and balances, this would have been handled. Like, this wouldn't even have gotten this far. I fear that this dude has such a ego that he, like, if we've noticed, he's tried to be buddy with all of the dictators of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Is it not a dictator move to send and tear gas peaceful protesting civilians so that you could walk across the street and have somebody take a fancy selfie and then go back into your bunker?
I'd call it a coward move, honestly.
Oh, let's go even further with the coward move. Oh, and speaking of the Third Amendment with the no troop quartering, I love the fact that I believe it was a mayor or governor kicked out the National Guard from the hotels that were there. It was like 1,200 rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got to go. That's
was that in Seattle?
I can't remember where, but it was. I should know. I was like, y'all got to go. You are not welcome. You are troops. We
Mayor
don't have to allow that. Goodbye. It was fantastic.
Oh yeah, she's been going ham. It was mayor of DC apparently. Yeah, you got that. You got that. The Black Lives Matter Plaza that happened as well. That's pretty cool to see.
Yep. And also, he's been trying to find the right D. He is to go along with the distracting. How many times have you heard of in history have police been allowed to target the media? On the first few nights of the protests, there was a black anchor for CNN. Him and his whole team got locked up. It took the mayor of that city to get them out.
Oh yeah.
And they were back at it 3 hours later. They were back on the streets like, yo, we still here. We out here. There's another reporter who
wait. Before you go on though, you got to remember here now. The plausible deniability.
I'm going on a lot of different angles. My apologies.
Yeah, the plausible deniability here was insane. And I think it only really got traction because another news reporting staff were recording them being arrested. Mm-hmm. And so you had the whole context of like, there was no escalation. There was no whatever.
There was no locking up. They didn't.
Also, I mean, I don't want to
announce who they were.
I don't want to make it racial, but he was black and they got arrested. The white reporting team that recorded originally, they didn't even get confronted at all.
To be fair, I'm gonna catch you on that.
Talk to me about it.
You were right on that part, right? He was black. He got taken in. But there's another reporter who was not black, who the police had like the little pepper pellets that they were firing at people, fired at her camera. So they are doing what they can to deafen. That was the word. They are deafening the media. Think about it. He's already divided us, this whole country, because it's all red, blue. He's been blatant in his phrasing in his public speakings of saying like, they're not being nice to me, so I'm not going to give them what they want. So the division of America is already there. He's already got Republicans that he's not fully supporting because they're not kissing his ass. He's destroying the things that we're used to seeing in America, and people are going to be used to seeing this weirdness. He's all about hurting people, as referenced through the video that is referenced when there's a black man at one of his rallies, and it was like, yeah, when you put him in the jail, please don't be too nice. So we already know he's willing to do all of that. And then silence the media. It's been fake news since day one. Everything that he does, and every time somebody is against him, he's been talking about fake news. And let's not even go even further and talk about the Republican. I can't remember whether it was the Senate or the House. There were Republican elected officials that went in to meetings. They told their colleagues that are also Republican that they tested positive for COVID-19. They didn't tell the Democrats though. They still went to their meetings. They still left it up for people to get sick, ignoring the fact that they had families. There's a Republican who went on a expletive filled rampage about that. Yeah. See, the fact that people know what I'm talking about, it's there. So, and again, like, it's for me, the reason that I'm pointing this out is not to say that Democrats are good and Republicans are bad, right? Because I feel like everybody has a thing that they can have common ground on with anybody, regardless of political party. My lady, Epic Lala Girl, she brought a phrase to me that I've been trying to live on, and it is dual perspective. She does everything she can to understand somebody who disagrees with her on all of the topics so that she can fully understand their reasoning behind why they believe what they believe. And once you understand why somebody believes what they believe, it's easier to counter and enlighten them as to why maybe they might be correct. Maybe you might be incorrect. But you won't know until you get to understand the reasons behind it. So It doesn't make a difference of whether or not you're Republican, whether or not you're Democrat. I try my best to identify as an independent because there might be a Republican I agree with. There might be a Democrat I agree with. But you won't know until you get educated on the facts about that particular candidate. How have they been voting thus far? If they've already been in public office, what's their social media look like? What are the things that they're doing in their community to better their community? Are they only doing it for certain groups of people, or are they doing it for anybody else? You got to be able to go in with understanding, with information, and actually make moves to vote in the candidate that is the best for what you need for your area. And that's all that to say, please be in the voting booth this November. Please. And be on top of your local reps hard now. Like, don't let this die down in a week and a half, right? Like, a lot of people will come out here and they go ham. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm here for this. Nah, don't let it die, because if you let it die, there's more of us that are gonna. And it's not just black people this time.
No, you got it, bro. Yeah, make sure y'all vote in November. Make sure y'all also vote down ballot. Pay attention to your local elections, because turnout is pretty lit during general election year, but midterms it plummets, and for local offices it's like extra non-existent. So we definitely got to get woke on that and make sure we have you're accounting for all the things here. You know, if you have hypothetically here one president of blue and a sea of red, nothing, you know, there's problems on both ends on that obviously here, but like, yeah, that's you gotta look at it all in that regard here, most definitely all. Also, yeah, the bipartisan politics, it's icky, because yeah, if we do a little more homework here and we be a little more intelligent on our standards and have standards for who and what we're voting for here, and you observe the policy substance and focus not as much on the character, or, you know, I like them because how they talk or how they present themselves. Well, what do they stand for? Where are the principles? What are your principles? What are your values? What are your priorities? And having those specifications there can lead to a smarter America, lead to more active engagement at the ballot, and lead to hopefully a better America long term.
Yep.
Most certainly.
Definitely. I fully agree.
Oh, man, DJ night.
That's step one. That's do your homework, fam. Do your homework.
PogChamp, better America long term.
Homework, because I don't care what anybody says, right? Like, I love the fact that he cried out censorship at Twitter, saying like, learn the facts about mail-in ballots. If you can get a mail-in ballot, by all means, do it. Like, I'm not trying to get sick, which is the reason why I'm not out protesting. But I'm happy to have helped raise funds for such amazing causes. I'm glad that you are also helping to raise funds for these causes, because the cool part about it is people that are getting helped by the bond funds, the community bond funds, they're not just letting out black people. They're letting out people who are protesting. People are protesting and doing things for the good of the country. They're letting people out. I feel like a lot of this comes down to the phrase that I remember hearing back in my conspiracy theorist days. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. And when you get police officers who kill somebody and get to get away with it, how is that not corrupting? They have the power to take life, to be judge, jury, and literally executioner. And the
One
best
love
we get in the public
BLM4 Life
is
Index
them
pointing up
being
light skin.
fired. Oh, they were let go from their job. That doesn't do it. That's not justice. It's not justice at all. I feel like if it should, I wish that the military requirements for force de-escalation would be a thing that they applied to regular police forces, because you put your gun in a situation that was seen as not a situation that was dire need, you should lose your gun. If you pull your gun for the wrong reason, lose your gun, get it out. That gun is gone. Sit your ass down on a desk somewhere. And realistically, if we get to the point where an officer their firing their gun has resulted in the death of multiple people, you shouldn't be on the job anymore. Shouldn't.
Yeah, I want to, man. Okay, let me bring
mental health is a big deal, man. Like, I'm sorry, like that's why I care, because that's a mental health thing. You let somebody kill indiscriminately multiple people, don't let it be, and it also be people of color, and they're not a person of color. Like, come on, son.
Come on, bro.
Come on, son.
Yeah.
That's that bullshit.
No, facts.
I'm trying to stop myself from cursing where possible. It's difficult sometimes, but
no, it's raw. I think that's what they need to see. How do you really feel? How do we really feel
using their gun? Are they in a life or death situation? Is somebody going to die if they don't pull their gun? That's it. How will police justify using their gun? Do they have a gun? If the person that they're talking to has a gun, cool, stop it. But if they don't have a gun, or they don't have a knife, and they're not close enough to just like stab you before you get your weapon out, where is the justification for using a gun? If they're stealing property, you can get into a car and chase people, stop people who have stolen property. But what you can't do is give a life back once you've taken it. You should not be shooting somebody. Like, I keep going back to the TV example because it's happened where police have shot people over stealing TV. Yes, they shouldn't be stealing the TV, but is it worth their life? Is it worth that cop deciding to be judge, jury, and executioner to wreck them? Hell to the no. Any police officer that would shoot somebody over property that can be replaced, if you stole it from a business, that business has insurance specifically to help them to not do it. Now, mind you, I'm talking about like major corporations. Small businesses can't handle that, but that's why the police exist, to protect and serve. Police should be able to go in and help that small business find that person who stole that TV, and that's where it should kick in, to where that person should get the value back for their money. And if they just so happen to sue the person who stole it, that's how that's supposed to work. We suing you, you took something that was $1,000 in value. We want $1,000 back. Good game. Thanks for the money. Go back to the courts. Get out of here. But if you are using your weapon to justify taking a life over property, how? The whole concept of that means that you're saying that that television was worth more than the person's life who took it. That means the peaceful protesters right now that are protesting for Black Lives Matter, for making sure that people don't get unjustly mishandled by police, the people who are peacefully protesting right now, who are getting shot with less than lethal rubber bullets, getting hit with pepper spray that's illegal in wartime. Like, you can't even do that at war. That's police brutality is what that is. Shooting somebody over property is police brutality. That property should never be more valid than someone's life. And if you are defending the police and killing somebody over property, imagine if it was your best friend who's broke during Corona. They went to get a loaf of bread, and police officer shot him because they were stealing bread. How would you feel about that police officer? Do you think they were justified in shooting somebody over $2.50? Or would you want the system to be adjusted? Police brutality is a major problem. Everybody's affected. You're seeing it on the you may not see it on the news, but anybody can get it when it comes to these police officers right now. No, all cops are not bastards. Many cops are bastards that are doing this ill shit and getting away with it, but definitely not all of them. But I'm not saying like, I want to go hug a police officer. No, that the police officers dancing is propaganda. I'm not believing that. I'm not going into that. They can keep that. But I do like the positive things that are coming out of it. I believe Michigan just put in some legislation to where new people on the force have to go through implicit bias training. And they also have to go through some force de-escalation training. That is how you properly start change. Force de-escalation training should be a standard for cops in the first place. Why are they taught to shoot people in the face? Why are you shooting center mass? If you can have a conversation with somebody, you should be able to de-escalate. If you are able to have a conversation with somebody and you are going to work with a weapon that is capable of taking life, should not be your default to use it. That should be your last resort, because firing a weapon is deadly force. You don't point your gun at something unless you want it dead. You shouldn't want to dead somebody just cause. De-escalation should be the standard. I don't know how it's not. I learned that in the military, and it's not the standard for regular police force. How? There are jobs that, like hairdressers, go to school more time than police officers before they get to go to the job.
Can I ask you? So I think I saw a stat on Twitter the other day, but I don't know if it's like if it varies by a police department or not, or if it's like a federal minimum here on being a police officer. But like 3.5 months of training. Does that sound accurate to you for a typical?
When I went into security forces, I went into basic training in June, and that was like I think it was August that I left there, and then I was in training until November. So 3 months sounds about right.
Well, I meant for cops, like no, like
yeah, but that's the point. Like
okay.
I learned so many things. I learned ground-based defense. I learned firing with the M16. I learned before I went overseas, I learned how to fire with the M249. I knew enough about the M60 to fire that. I'd fired off the Mark 19 grenade launcher, so I've had decent skill with weapons for a decent amount of time. They gave me an M60 award when I fired the M249 because there was no 249 award. I know what I'm doing when it comes to a weapon. If I could do all that, that training was like a week long. But my basic training for security forces was 3 months long, and that included ground-based defense. So if you change that ground-based defense training to more force de-escalation training, 3 months sounds decent. But that doesn't change the fact that do it. Train them to de-escalate. If they're not de-escalating, what's the point? And yes, security forces is continuous training throughout your active duty because you regularly retake the force de-escalation training. You fire every 6 months, unlike the rest of the military that fires every 1 year. 1 year for regular military, 6 months for security forces, because if you can't fire the gun, why are you on the job? So there's so much that go into it. We need to fix the system that teaches cops to fire first. We need to give them the tools they need to be able to de-escalate things properly. And until we do, we have to be at our elected officials to make sure that they know that that's the thing that we need, not want. We don't want the police to not be able to take life. We need the police to not be able to take life unless they've had training that helps them to actually bring a situation down from a deadly situation to something else. Because it's not just Black people dying. Go look on Twitter right now. Look up the protests. All we're seeing is police escalation. Peaceful protests till the police hop in. And the police hop in, they tear gas. I think it was St. Louis where they had the people that were on the side of the expressway and they were just like up there, cops shooting gas at them. Is that what we want in America? Is that what we're supporting in America? Is that how you want the police to treat us in America? Because then we literally go right into the situation that the Holocaust brought about. It came for one group. I said nothing because I wasn't that group. They came for another group. I said nothing because I wasn't that group. They came for a third group. I said nothing because I wasn't them. But when they came for me, nobody else was here because they took everybody else. Nah, that's not the America that I put my life on the line for. That's not the America that I went overseas to defend us for. That's not the America that I put my life on the line for the First Amendment for. Your right to speak publicly, your right to peaceful protest. This is a right. That's something that's born into every American. I don't give a damn if you're black, blue, green, white, red, doesn't matter. Everybody has the ability to peacefully protest. And if police tear gassed you for peacefully protesting, that's a problem of escalation and brutality on their part. And if you are not at your elected official's office knocking on the door in the first thing in the morning, then are we really helping? And I can admit I haven't done it. So maybe I need to go to my elected official's office in the morning, Monday morning, obviously, because they're not going to be there tomorrow. Government buildings don't open on Sundays. But is it that if that's what it takes, so be it, because we have to change something. And again, like a lot of people might say, all lives matter, but that doesn't change the fact that people of every color are getting worked by the police right now because of a few small apples or a few bad apples out of the bunch that are trying to tear some stuff up. But also, if you really think about it, we just got $1,200 checks that's supposed to last us 10 weeks. People hungry. Can you be mad at hungry people for getting food by any means necessary? Maybe instead of the corporations that took 5 billion, or was it 5 trillion? These major corporations that took all this money, maybe they should have gave no money to corporations, gave all that money to American citizens so they could pay their rent and get groceries and get food and be able to pay their rent on time. But now you want to focus on the rioters. 40 million Americans lost their job out of less than 300 million last I checked. That's a ridiculous percentage. But you want to be mad at people who are broke, who are hungry, for going to get food. I see where you're looking. That's my response to that. I feel like I can't.
Ooh, yeah, you've been the microphone hot right now. So
like
this
whole concept upsets me.
Whew. Also, by the way, it's it depends on what you want to look at here. You can say 500 billion for certain size corporations, but Steve Mnuchin can use.
They got 500 billion.
You can use Steve Mnuchin's leverage against the U.S. Treasury to say it can be upwards of 4.5 trillion actually, because he can leverage it multiple times. Wow. I mean, you gotta Goldman Sachs lackey in here who's in charge of the U.S. Treasury, so you can just loot it. I mean, the administration's full of crooks here, and it shouldn't really surprise you. Or it doesn't surprise me. It shouldn't surprise you, but yeah,
it doesn't surprise me.
I mean, literally crumbs to small businesses. And what's 5 scales down from crumbs? I don't even know. Like dust particles for the average taxpayer. It's nothing.
I don't know how. Like, what's funny is that if you think about it, if you give that money to American citizens instead of these major corporations, those corporations would have been held up anyway. They would have got it right back.
It would have went right back to them. You're right.
It would have went right back to them. Why are you giving money to these major corporations? Yeah, you could bail them out separately from the American citizens. How is it that other countries understand how to do this? How are the people in the UK living getting 80% of their salary during coronavirus quarantine? How are people in Canada being taken care of during quarantine, but they gave us $1,200 funky ass dollars?
$1,200.
$1,200, really? $1,200 does not handle the rent for the house that we live in right now. $1,200 doesn't handle the mortgage for the house we about to move into. Like $1,200 is trash in the grander scheme of things. That's trash. That's not enough money to do anything.
It's obscene.
It's disrespectful.
I thought I thought $2,000 monthly temporary UBI, as long as the pandemic was declared national emergency, was going to be the minimum.
At minimum.
The minimum.
Basic existence of, look, we told you to go into the house. We can't let you go to work. You might have lost your job. Here, we're gonna give you $600 extra bucks if you apply for unemployment. We'll give you $600 extra bucks a month. But how many people can actually get through the lines for unemployment?
Oh, it's underfunded. They don't have the infrastructure to deal with it.
Stupidly, and then people are on the phone all day trying just to get unemployment in the first place. $1,200 is trash. People get more than $1,200 back on their taxes for having kids. Like, that's once a year. Like, you think that's gonna do something for somebody whose rent is $1,500? For people who live in New York or LA, $1,200 is a joke.
It is
joke. Literally hey, we just got this $1,200 from our elected officials.
Hey,
that was the punchline. That is the punchline. That is a joke. That is trash. It is offensive. And people can't even get in there to get unemployment. Nah, son. Nah.
Yeah. Don't forget here that like it's not even like, I'm sorry, it's a little bit of a pivot here, but it's not even like we're not even in a free market right now. Because when you have these corporations that can just like, I know it's comical, right? Because they can just like they can just use their infinite lobbying power to just loot the treasury or loot any kind of monetary benefit they can get right now, after already getting the Trump tax cuts in 2018 and then not having enough in reserve to survive 2 weeks of being afloat. I wish I had the list here of how many corporations were like already with the hands out, like, hey, help me out here. And it's like the corporations can just socialize their losses, and we the taxpayers just get the fat boot in the ass and thrown out the door. And that's it.
Trash.
It's trash.
Full trash.
But all right, we need to get to a stopping point here because I think I do think
I can do this all night. My bad, fam.
I see that. No, we didn't even, bro. I'm already,
D1.
Dude, you've been killing it. You've been killing it. I want to apologize because you've been killing it, and I have not been giving you as a host the engagement to like steer the conversation.
No,
because I enjoyed it.
My bad.
No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed you. You were hitting it. I was like, okay, like he's kind of swerved from an interaction to a monologue, but I'm okay with that because I came to listen, and you, sir, the pleasure was all mine. I'm honestly flattered here. You deserve a round two because I feel like there was so little about you. The intention here was to normalize blackness. I wanted everyone who was not black to know what being black was like. That way the empathy could kick in a little bit more around here. And honestly though, I think everyone loves you. I think, man, you're talking about like, everything, all of it. I didn't even, you know how crazy this is here? We were hitting it so fast now that I didn't even get a chance to even ask you to follow up here about you teaching at Full Sail. I didn't even get to like nerd out with you because I genuinely have been considering telling my girlfriend to check out Full Sail because I was a big fan of their programs back when I first saw them pop up in late 03. I was like, Full Sail's great. I love what they do. But you know what? I'll have to save that combo for a round two. I would love to have you on because I don't know if I told y'all, by the way, here. This isn't a one day only thing. I can't comprehensively demonstrate to y'all blackness in one stream. The intention here, if you don't mind, Deejay, I'm just gonna real quick plug here.
Yeah, go for it, fam.
The intention here is like, this is just who I have on for today, but there will be future BLM The Black Experience 2020 interview sessions from here. So if you enjoyed today, I encourage you to, I don't know, whatever, hit the follow button, come through. I'm taking a day at a time right now. I think like we all are currently, and I'll see when I can coordinate more guests because I do think y'all are liking this. I'm liking this. This is therapy for me right now. So this feels pretty good. Are you feeling good right now, DJ Knight?
I feel fantastic, man. We got to talk about a bunch of this week as we also raised funds for Black Lives Matter causes. So I feel you on it, and it's just like, man, how do we handle it? But I feel great, and also I do want to answer a quick question that was
absolutely, please.
Jim Shoe 94 said, I respect this discourse and I agree with the platitudes we're espousing, but isn't this just an echo chamber? Most people watching Trihex are going to support this movement. I joined late, so maybe we talked about this, but how do we bring in more people to the cause? Jim Shoe, to start off with, step one, we were on the front page of Twitch. Anybody who went to the Twitch website saw it. That's how you get more people into it. So it's lovely that Twitch connected with that front page, Tom, because so many people who are just hearing about Twitch, they may not care about the concepts that we're talking about, but I love the fact that Twitch put it on the front page so that people could come in and, oh, wait a minute, this is a conversation I may not have had. So Twitch is being super heavy and super focused about making sure to amplify people who are raising funds for these causes and having these conversations. So that actually, I feel like, answers the question. Because yes, people who come to hang out in this stream are obviously going to support the cause, because if you don't appreciate the fact that try as life matters, then why would you be here? Right? That's step one. But the platform is doing the work to make sure that more people find out about it. And matter of fact, I'll just say this. If you came in from the front page, I already saw one person say it. If you came in from the front page in here and you have been lurking, say something in the chat.
Oh, pop up.
Like, don't clap. Say, like, type in FP or me. Say something. See, that's a wall of people right there who just came in from the front page, who were not initially a part of this community, but they're here now. They're engaged in this conversation, even if they're just lurking, because a lot of people don't remember that the lurkers are lifebloods of streams.
Absolutely.
So I end every one of my streams with, I appreciate the lurkers, because there are tens of thousands of streams that are live on Twitch right now, but the fact that you're here means everything, because without your support, we wouldn't be where we are right now. Without all of you lurking, we wouldn't be where we are and just chatting right now. So you guys are the reason that we're here. You are the reason for the season. So thank you all. And thank you, Jim Shoe, for asking the question, because otherwise we wouldn't have gotten the chance to appreciate lurkers being in here. And thank you for lurking. Thank you for speaking up. That's step one. Because a lot of people may not know it. 10% of the people that watch streams talk at best.
Yeah.
10%. So all of you that have been talking, that's 10% of the people here. When we look at the fact that there are 5,388 people here, 538 people might be talking. The rest of the people are busy, are working, are lurking, are doing schoolwork, or cleaning up the house, or spending time with their family. When I leave here, I'm gonna go spend some time with mine. So yeah, so many people are here just engaging in the conversation, just listening in, and that is super badass. Thank you for doing what you do to help try get this message out to so many people.
Absolutely, dude. DJ, now you are killing it. All right, so I got D1 like literally like probably. So here's what I want to do. Let's I'm gonna give you the way to exit out here. So wait. Okay. Before I let you exit and do your outro and plug yourself and tell us what we're looking forward to on that exciting DJ night content here. My question to you is, hypothetically, when I do another BLM 2020 The Black Experience, would you be open to coming on and we can learn a lot more about you? We were discussing.
It fully depends on when it is.
I will 100%. Maybe just give me a yes, because I'm gonna work it around.
I'm down. You. Just give me. I'm down. Just give me the day on when it's there, because like
you got it.
My weekends are generally family time, so like
I out there with them right now. I totally understand. Because we have I'm
down for this conversation.
We have some unfinished business, and while there's more to talk about injustice in the world and what we advocate for change wise and what BLM means, all that stuff here. Ultimately, we all love you, and I feel like there was even though there was a lot of you in this, it wasn't enough for me. Like you got you got 2 riot helmets for freaking shoulders here. I'm like, man, there's a whole lot of you to take in right now. So
you also don't have riot helmets for shoulders. Come on.
Well, come on,
son.
Come on, son.
And you smell amazing, by the way. I'm not even there, but I know you smell amazing.
Man, look, man, I can't wait. Man, we can get the we going. Look, we're doing the gym stream, TwitchCon 2022, whenever it's gonna be, and then we're doing the barbershop after party. I'm tired of this like quarantine hairline. I want to get this hot. You looking good right now.
I'm lining myself up.
Yeah,
I got some bevel clippers. Like I hit my own lining up. I fade myself up. Like today is late, but I need to go. I'm doing it tomorrow, fam. Trust. Tomorrow I'm fading myself up. People gonna be mad. Like, bruh,
when you going to the barbershop?
I'm not going to the barbershop.
DJ's Clippers, DJ, fight.
And then I'm gonna win.
Oh my God, dude.
Bomb ass haircut.
That's how it's gonna work. It's gonna be a beautiful thing. I'm gonna come out looking like a boss. It's gonna be fantastic.
Boss. BAWS.
BAWSE.
SE. Ooh.
Bouse. Bouse.
So if you wouldn't mind, sir, please 2 things I want you to do. Part 1 is you got to tell them what are they looking forward to? What phenomenal Black excellent content are you delivering to us at your next convenience? Is it Twitch? Is it YouTube? Is it what you got on radar?
I am primarily a Twitch broadcaster. Yes, I actually am a full-time Twitch broadcaster. I focus on space and science fiction because I'm a big fan of science. And the best times that I have are when games that step out of reality a little bit, right? So I play a lot of Star Citizen. If you've never heard of it, it is a crowd-funded game that is focused on space. So like it's a MMO, but there's like a single player. There's a lot of other stuff to it, but they basically created the largest universe that is playable in an MMO that I've seen right now. It's amazing. If you've never heard of Star Citizen, please go check it out. It is the best. I'm also a show host. As I mentioned in the beginning, I work with First Robotics. If it was not for the pandemic, I would have been helping host their championships. I actually, I got to interview Chris Tucker.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I got to interview Chris Tucker, who is one of my favorite actors, and also in one of my favorite movie of all time is The Fifth Element. So I got to interview Chris Tucker. And while I was interviewing Chris Tucker, they brought up Lonnie Johnson, who is the inventor of the Super Soaker. He is an astronaut. He worked at NASA, and that man has hundreds of patents to his name. So the Black excellence at the moment, when I got to interview the 2 of them, was mind-boggling. I'm still blown away that it happened. But yeah, it's a lovely thing. I'm a big fan of STEM and STEAM. For those of you who like to add the arts into the conversation. So you're going to come to my stream. I'm going to do a lot of talking. I'm going to do a lot of educating because I've spent close to 8 years as someone who's taught at a collegiate level. So, and also come from I come from game industry experience where I've worked as an interface designer on Madden, for example. I taught people how to make video games for 4 years. So when I approach video games and I try to give critique on gaming, it's from somebody who understands the way that the cake is made. And when you understand how they're made, it's a whole lot easier to talk to people when people say like,
oh man, why didn't they do this thing right here? It wouldn't take very long.
But when you understand how many testers are available to dev teams, how long it takes to properly test, when you can break that down pretty quickly and tell people like there's no way that they could do that because this much money would be involved, a lot of people learn a bit, and I'm a fan of teaching however possible.
Oh, man,
I could talk all day, but I feel like that's a pretty decent run around.
Gotcha. And any lasting impression you want to deliver to them? Anything that you wanted to squeeze in about yourself that we already did earlier? You're an educator. You, I don't even know. You kind of like did the second part I was going to do for you. It was like your content and then who you are, but you kind of already did that one. But any final thing until the next time, whenever that will be.
Until the next time, I actually don't have a secret hidden talent unless you count singing. I do sing a lot on my streams, but
Hog? Okay.
Yeah, I sing. You know, actually, my prime sub alert is me remixing a remix of Toss a Coin to Your Witcher. My buddy Mike the Bard remade Toss a Coin to Your Witcher to Toss a Prime to Your Twitcher. And then on Twitter, a guy named Kyle, who's a producer, he made a trap remix out of Toss a Coin to Your Witcher, and I remixed both of those into the same thing. So I sing a lot. That's there. But my last thing that I would tell people is, if you believe the concept that life matters, if we ignore the color, or we ignore the olive, we ignore the black, life matters. If you value life, you have to understand that as a Black American, not everybody sees it that way. Many people will be completely cool with us dying over crumbs. They could see a black body in the street, not care because of what the media has fed them, that we are angry, that we're violent, that we're a myriad of different things that racists will try to tell you, like, oh, the
crime in black on black communities is massive.
Nah, that's nonsense. We are people. Just like Native Americans are people. Just like you are a person. If you believe that life matters, you should be supporting this cause. Thank you for your time. Love your faces, and I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, DJ Knight. Everyone, twitch.tv/DJ Knight. Please catch him over there. You're missing out otherwise here. I'm actually happy you didn't sing, because I'm going to tell you right now, paywall that behind the stream. You want to check out his singing, his phenomenal voice that will literally cure diseases and then some. You got to go over to this channel and do it, y'all. Oh my God, sir. I am bowing because I am not worthy. Everyone, DJ Knight, fam, get out of here and go enjoy your family, all right?
All right, I'm out. Have a great one.
Later.